You're listening to Rock-N-Sexxy UnCensored, bringing you the cutting edge of the entertainment world weekly, hosted by Lynn.
Woohoo! All right, you guys. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Rock-N-Sexxy UnCensored. Broadcasting tonight on the United Broadcasting Network at ubngo.com, Channel 1, and live streaming on our blog weekly at rocknsexyuncensored.com. I'm your host, Lynn, and it is my pleasure to be in the house with you guys tonight. Joining me live in the studio is Joe Williamson.
Hey, everyone. You look absolutely stunning and beautiful. I haven't seen you since last year.
I know. It seems like years since I've seen you, Joe.
I've missed you. It's been way too long.
I missed you, too, and I miss that bashful face. Look at him. He's back. Good. Welcome back, Joe.
Thank you.
Folks, RNSU works overtime to bring you cutting-edge talent from the music and entertainment world weekly, and tonight is no exception. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Before we get started, I just want to take a moment. Some news hit the studio, and I just don't want to act like it didn't hit us pretty hard. I want to offer my sincerest condolences to the family and friends and fans of Lisa Marie Presley, who we just got word that she passed away today. Thank you. Joining us live in the studio, guys, she is an American model, actress, and a scream queen. She was Penthouse Magazine Pet of the Month in July 1981, which led to her start in acting. She first appeared in a handful of erotic adult movies under various names, we hear, and we'll be talking about that, including I researched the epic Andrew Blake directed Night Dreams before she landed a breakout role in the B movie The Tomb opposite the legendary Sybil Danning and John Carradine. She then went on to star in over 100 films with notable actors of the day, including that hunk Eric Estrada, David Carradine, Jan Michael Vincent, and several others. She was the star of several cult classic films, including Nightmare Sisters, Sorority Babes in the Slimeball Bowl-O-Rama, got that one out, and 1313 Cougar Cult. She is with us live in the studio to talk about her career and her recently released sequel, Sorority Babes in the Slimeball Bowl-O-Rama 2, and her upcoming film, Grandma, which is slated to begin principal photography in February of 2023. Please give her a warm welcome with us today, Michelle Bauer.
Yay.
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 She's back. She's back. She's back. Welcome to the show, darling. It's good to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
And it's such a small world, you know. I remember, thank you, Joe, first of all, for introducing us and saying you got to have Michelle Bauer.
Or reintroducing.
Right. And I said to him, I know Michelle. I know Michelle from back in the day. We came up in the 80s together in the industry. And then the industry was an even much smaller industry. And, you know, there was some adult and there was some mainstream and there was some Penthouse. I was in Penthouse as well. And so I kind of have like a sisterhood, I feel like, with you, like a kinship, you know. So it's my honor to have you on my show. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. And it is an honor to be here. I'm flattered. I'm being taken out of time and put on the line here, and it's exciting for me.
That's good. We want it to be exciting, and we want you to feel good, and we want it to be amazing. And I know that your fans are absolutely thrilled to have you in the show. Social media was all clamoring, and they were talking about different projects that were their favorites that you were in, and you were in so many. But what I want to do is I just want to start at the beginning and say, let's talk about where you're from, how you got into acting. Did you want to be an actress, model? Did you start out to do that?
No. As a matter of fact, I was, I grew up in California, and I grew up in Simi Valley, where I reside now. And I was very young and got married and was working at a gas station on Mason and Devonshire pumping gas. And I was looking for a better job. I had tried being a janitor at Sears, and it just wasn't panning out. So I saw an ad in a newspaper that said figure models wanted for $75 a day.
Oh my goodness, I think I saw that same ad. So
I thought, I'm going to try that. So at the time, I was spending a lot of time at Point Dune at the nude beach, so I had the all-over tan, and I was this all-natural look, the long brown hair, and I went into the model agency, and they hired me, and I just started modeling, doing men's magazines, which went on for several years. And then from that, went into mud wrestling and
That's right.
things like that. I was CHN with Helga Thu. I joined his modeling agency.
That's the name I kept saying. What was your agent's name?
Yes,
And I kept
Helga Thu
asking
was
you. Yeah, it was
CHN.
how it was.
Yeah, but it was
Helga
Spectrum
Thu.
Talent that I was doing the nude modeling with. And through that, I was doing Hustler and Chic and all of that. But Penthouse all came much later. And then I had...
So your Breakout World magazines really wasn't Penthouse. It was the conglomerate of all of the Hustler and Chic.
Yes.
And that was such a gas back then.
Yes, it was.
Right.
It was such right, because we were talking about the people that we knew and the photographers that we worked with, and it's so crazy.
Ed Holzman.
Yes.
Right.
Suze Randall.
Oh,
I had the best chutney at her house.
Just right.
When we were shooting. Yeah, it was just great old times, and it was a family. It was very close-knit, and it was a very small world and a real close family, and that's when I met Brink and Linnea, because I was doing nude scenes. Back then, nude scenes showing full frontal really wasn't okay, but we were doing it, and we were at the studios, and that's how we met, because we found each other on the set all the time doing shower scenes in gym locker rooms and running across the room or whatever. And after a while, we just kept meeting each other again and again and again, and that
was for like Playboy and stuff. We did. There was like a Penthouse.
that was even later.
Right.
When we were doing the Penthouse and Playboy videos was even much later.
What was the name of the channel that used to show all of that, but it was really what I call ultra soft adult?
Yeah.
And that's how I kind of started out. It was like you didn't do full frontal, but you kind of did. And the Playboy channel and stuff like that was where everything was simulated, and we would be on these sets together. And
right.
We'd have to like writhe and
yes,
writhe up against
but
each
what
other.
they were doing really
right?
at
We
the
would
time.
be like, God, I'm tired of this. Let's just like whatever.
But they were doing layouts. Penthouse would do a layout, and then they would do a video to coincide with it.
That's right.
And then they would sell them together.
Right.
And so they started doing that, and then I got involved with the Playboy, and that's when I met Paul Hertzberg, who introduced me to Fred Olin Ray when I started and did the Tomb.
And they were coming and getting the hot girls to come in and do the mainstream stuff then. And there was like the B stuff that was going on. Right?
Yeah, and that's how I got interested and into the B movies, was through the Playboy channel, and that's when I met Paul Hertzberg, who introduced me to.
It just kind of rolled together.
It just all rolled along.
And you were like, I'm good with this, and I'm good with
yes, and
that.
it's who you know.
Right.
It's who you knew at the time, and if you were good and you showed up and you had your brains and you could remember your lines, you were passed on to the next guy who would say, "Oh, try her. You know, she's really great." And then
in a professional way, not
yes,
passed on to the next guy.
No, it was just if you showed up and were reliable and did a good job, you worked.
Yeah.
And it just went on and on and on. And I'm telling you, I'm on a 40-year roll even now today, because
congratulations, right? And I just said that to you. You know, it takes a lot to have the kind of longevity and to sustain a career, and
Over
also
time,
to be able to, and I really got that from you when you said, I took a break and I was good with that. Okay. And I did this and that and this, and now I'm coming back.
Yes.
And I loved hearing that from you because, you know, I'm also an advocate and I work with women. And that's why I said, I like to talk about what it was, what steered you towards adult, and then what steered you, what was it in you that said, not so much. Maybe not for me. What was it?
I'd love to share that.
And then
with
how
you.
did you make that switch? Because there are people out there who say, when you get sucked into the adult industry and you get exploited and taken advantage of, it doesn't always have to be that story.
No, and
you know,
I don't
there
think
are
I don't think it's that way. I think I met a lot of the girls. I worked with Tracy Lords. I worked with her before, during, and after her career as a adult
and I
star.
did as well.
And I worked with you. We modeled a lot together.
Right.
We worked together. I worked with Ginger Lynn quite a bit before, during, and after, and I got to know everybody. And all of us girls crossed paths, and we melded together in a sisterhood, I would have to say. But I don't think anyone ever was forced into or taken advantage of. I think all these girls and women were very bright young women. I know they made a lot of money, bought a lot of property, and did a lot of great financial things with their careers. So
And then there were others that didn't. And then there are others that didn't.
Well, they come and they go. You would see a girl one day and gone tomorrow, you know. And
And there are sharks in the industry, but there are sharks in all types of businesses, especially now.
Huge turnovers of the talent back in the day, with the young girls coming and going, and others that made a huge business out of it. And, were smart and knew what they were doing. But as far as the X stuff came, my husband and I, Mr. Bauer, we were just kind of kidding around and going, hey, you know, did you think you'd want to? It was like a fantasy. And so,
back in the 80s,
yes,
it was so
and I was doing the modeling, and I was knowing all these people, and we said, well, okay, well, let's give it a go. So Svetlana,
I did a film with, she did Miami Spice.
I worked with her, and that was Ron Jeremy, was up and coming. He was brand new at the time. And
thank God.
We did this movie and thinking, okay, you know, this is just going to be one of those movies. No one's going to ever remember it. It's just going to come and it's going to go. And when it came time for my official sex scene with my husband, he wasn't able to perform. So it got a lot of bad rap. The movie was, oh, well, you know, Pia never really got it in that movie. It was such a
Did he
shame.
agree to do the film without any prior experience in
yes.
adult?
Yeah, we both did.
And one of the things, too, though, it was different for us as girls to walk on a set and, you know, we just had to kind of learn to go.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and then it progressed from there. Even when I started doing the actual adult movies, it was not as hard on the females as it was on the males who had to carry a scene. And
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you didn't know what was going on, and people get the idea that it's just a bunch of horny guys walking around going,
it's a business.
I'm ready.
You know, and just like
that's more on the gay side.
Like the love scenes in the B movies, you don't realize there's cameras all around you, and you got all these people working and telling you what to do and walking you through it the whole time. So it's not exciting, it's not romantic, it's not sexy, it's a job.
You know, I sometimes, and I have to agree with that, and I try to explain that to people, and I say, you need to understand that there is investors behind these films, just like any of your biggest mainstream project. And it may not be like $154 million like Star Wars, but in that little world, it is. It's relative to that because they have an investment they're trying to turn, and they don't want that. Now, the ones that do, and there are those janky little broke down, you know, sets where and directors who are taking advantage of the girls, you know, but it doesn't have to be the story. It doesn't have to be everybody's story. There are a lot of us who had prolific careers and were able to sustain ourselves and set boundaries and, you know.
And become your own boss and a free agent. And that was, I think, I'd have to say, very remarkable and wonderful
so it's your
for a lot of the
ex-husband's
girls.
fault, and you said,
Okay,
I don't
well,
want to
actually, I see it as a blessing now. because then we delved in that, and that was okay. And then, come to believe it or not, this became one of the biggest movies ever. It was called Bad Girls, and it just went off. We couldn't believe it, and here I'm going, oh.
I don't want to do this.
What? This was supposed to go away. So anyway, it didn't, and it still isn't. It's still there, and everybody loves it.
Because I was saying to you today, when I was looking over our social media stuff, and I like to see what the fans are saying and stuff.
Yeah.
And there were so many people. They were so excited. Michelle's on the show today.
Yeah.
And then there was the one guy that goes, "Oh, and she did that badass porno," and I was like, "Oh, gonna have to ask her about that one."
But I never had sex. So,
well, I'd feel ripped off.
Steve Sadian then asked me if I would do the movie Cafe Flesh.
Oh.
And it was such a fantastic movie, and I loved the script. I said, if you double my sex scene, I will do it. And he did.
And he did?
And
who was your double?
Some girl they brought in.
I wonder who could have been your double.
You can
I
watch
would
it
think,
and see
you know
it.
who I would pick? Ashlyn Gear. You guys would
But it wasn't anybody notable. They just got somebody that looked a lot like me. I mean, physically.
Well, she was after that movie because Cafe Flesh went.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
so, and
yeah.
then you.
And then from there, I just continued on with the B movies. So I just dipped my toe in. I didn't, but there was a lot of box covers that I did. I was hired to do modeling for the box covers for all the X-rated movies. My mother called me one time and said, Michelle, I saw you on a box cover of an X-rated movie. And there's first
Your
of all,
mother
I'm
did?
going, Mom, what are you doing?
Yeah, but Mom, how did you get the X-rated movie in your hand?
And I just said, well, Mom, watch the movie. I'm not in it. So she got that cleared up. She goes, oh, no, you're not in it. Oh, that's right. Oh, honey, I'm so glad. Blah, blah, blah.
The funny thing, though, is a lot of those movies nowadays is quite a bit tame to the new stuff. I mean, there's a new movie right now with Brad Pitt called Babylon. And
I've seen it.
I think that was quite more graphic than a lot of the stuff. There was like full frontal nudity and everything you see there, you know, than any of the stuff
when
back
I
then.
did 52 Pickup with Anne Margaret and John Glover and the whole crew was there, you know, they were like, it was a big scene. It was a party scene, and they had all these adult stars in it. They were like so intrigued that I did adult movies and what it was like as an actor to actually have real sexual intercourse with somebody on film. And I said, you know, it's easier because there's this realism that occurs, you know, and they were just like blown away by that. So I think a lot of mainstream actors that are very serious, you know, which Brad Pitt is amazing, they're intrigued by that part of it.
It's a business, and and how you work it and how you do it. Like, you wonder, like when I was doing these movies, Nightmare Sisters, and we were doing Slimeball Bolorama in 5 days, and I'm hearing about these actors that are on a set for 2 years. I said, you were not.
Now, and one of your very first B movies was with Sybil Danning, and Sybil Danning was a notorious sex symbol of the day in mainstream films and did not make crossovers. So did you face any judgment with her or John Carradine?
Let me tell you a story about Sybil. We were
Sybil?
we were shooting in the caves, the Bronson Caves, and everybody knew that she was the upper echelon of, you know, her career, and she was really doing wonderful at the time, had done the Playboy Centerfold and all of this, and she was very well known. And I was a little intimidated by her, wondering how she was going to be, because this was a very, very low budget movie that we were doing. And we were in the dirt, in the caves, running around, and it came time for lunch, and they brought us cold McDonald's, and we all sat down in the dirt, and here comes Sybil, walked up, sat down in the dirt, and ate her cold McDonald's with us, and it was not just nothing off her back, and she was one of us, and I gained a lot of respect for the woman that day, going, she's not above anyone else. She was just totally with us on the set. We were a team, all working together, getting this thing done. And
that was in the tomb? Was that when you guys made the tomb together?
No. This was Phantom Empire.
Oh, yes, that was another one you did with her.
Yes. Phantom Empire.
Fred O'Ray.
That's when I got my SAG
Yeah.
card. Yeah, with Fred Ray. And I was so impressed by her genuineness of not putting herself above anyone at the time. I really gained a lot of respect for her on that one.
So the children that you have, you mentioned your
I have
kid.
one
You have
daughter.
one child, and it's a daughter or son?
A daughter.
A daughter. Is from the Bauer, the person?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay,
No,
so then you took time off and you had a family.
Yes. Well, I kept working quite a bit, actually. I was working a lot of films with Jess Franco at the time that I did stop because he wanted me to come over to Spain because we did Lust for Frankenstein and Marie Cookie and The Killer Tarantula. And he wanted me to keep coming back over to Spain and keep working. And my daughter at the time, I think, was like about 9 years old. And I thought, no, I need to be at home.
They used to take us out of the country quite often.
yeah.
Because I went to Italy and I also went to France, and you could spend 6 months out there making movies and films and stuff. And they did like the spaghetti westerns. And we would all go and just work for months and months. Yeah. And it just seemed like it would never dry up for us.
Yeah, it was very busy over there.
So when did you see the industry start to make a change?
As far as the B movies went, let's see. I think it was when, let me go back and think. I've got to clear out the cobwebs in my mind and remember we were doing all these fantastic movies on 35 millimeter, and I think it was when VHS started to take a backstage to digital, and it was a whole new transition. And then anybody could be a scream queen, anybody could be a director, anybody could be a photographer and work out of their grandmother's basement and make a living. But
they were literally doing films on.
Yeah. And so this was the transition.
They didn't have these.
I think it was the technology kind of changed things up quite a bit. And everybody had to change. But one thing you can always count on is change.
Now let's talk about the term scream queen.
Oh.
So do you see that as a derogatory term?
I don't.
No, we'll frame that for our audience.
Okay, I thought Scream Queen was because back in the 40s we had your Scream Queens, and these were women that were
queens of the industry. And they are the queens of the horror film market.
I didn't feel worthy of that. I was working.
Feel she's queen of the.
I was having fun. I was just having a blast, and it just happened to work and keep going for me. But I couldn't ever say that I felt I was a scream queen or thought I was a scream queen. But I got bunched into that, which I'm glad that I did. And I just want to thank all the fans now, from then to the middle and now, because if it wasn't for these fans, it would have never, ever been. And I wouldn't be now if it wasn't for the fans. So I want to thank all you fans.
Oh, yay to all the fans out there.
I'd like to say, I think I could easily see you as worthy as like Vincent Price, Chris Foley, and a lot of other famous horror stars. Because you, like I said, and some of them call them scream queens, but I prefer to call it like horror stars. You have a huge fan base.
Queen, but then that's me. I'm used to being called,
And like I said.
And just to let all our fans know out there, if I can just ask our studio photographer to take a step to the right for me, you can call us live on air and talk to us and say hello.
Oh my gosh,
to
really?
Michelle Bauer. The lines are open at 323
Amber, you're just
524 2599. And if we get any callers out there, just make sure you guys be nice, right? That's okay. You're welcome to give us a call in. So we'll see if any of our fans call in, right?
Yeah, we'll see.
So, so Scream Queen. So this is not something that you saw as a negative. I mean, I love the term. I just wanted to frame it for the fans because there are people who have been on the show who I have said Scream Queen, and they've said, do you have to say it like that? And I said, yeah, And so I always ask because, like I said, I've been called a lot worse.
Well, we had Brink, Linnea, and I had come in through the back door. I like to say that, so to speak, because we started, as I was telling you earlier, back in doing shower scenes in the backgrounds of motion pictures, and then we struggled very hard. We went into, I went into like the mud wrestling, and then we were doing the Playboy videos, and we're doing the Penthouse videos, and then we get introduced into the B-movie spectrum of it all, and we worked really hard, and it took us a long time, and we really struggled to get there. And it became almost negative to me when we had worked so hard to get there, and then all of a sudden when things did change from the video to digital and girls were coming up and going, well, I'm a scream queen. Well, no, because you didn't do the hard knocks like we did. You
and
didn't earn your spot like we did. We worked hard at it. So that, to me, I could see scream queen for some girls is a negative to me because they really didn't
And it's such a small world, the filmmaking of either adult genre, B movies. It was all kind of in the same realm. You really didn't understand your scope or your reach until we would go to like the fan shows, the CES or the fan shows where we would show up once or twice a year, and you would walk into these conventions and lines that would go
unbelievable
200 people deep all the way across the convention floor, standing there just to get you to sign whatever, take that picture, whatever. And that was how we worked our fan bases, and by being nice to our fans and keeping those relationships going, which is what really sustained us. I mean, I have fans that I have known for
even to this day. You have the fans that are just unbelievably just so fantastic. They love you. They give you things. And so when
they send gifts and they send the stockings, the Wilford stockings or the whatever.
And I remember when Brink and Linnea were doing the shows big time, and I knew nothing about them, and they took me to Horrorthon, which was when.
So she's talking about Linnea Quigley,
and Brink Stevens,
who Brink was on our show.
Yes, Brink was on your show, and actually Dave Dakota was also on your show as well.
Dave Dakota was on my show. And Brink Stevens was on the show. One of our very first breakout podcasts, we had Brink Stevens. And she talked about the upcoming film that she was going to be directing, right? And was it already shot? Or
No. It was waiting to shoot it.
Okay. But she talked about it, that it was coming up. And she was really excited about it. And she had really nice things to say. And she also mentioned the feeling of like the sisterhood and the camaraderie that went on amongst you girls and how you'd known each other since, basically we were kind of kids together. And even when we would go through periods where we'd be like, I hate that bitch, I'm mad at her. Or whatever, she took my shoes and she never gave them back. We would still like come full circle all these years later and always kind of want to look out for each other and say, she okay? She doing okay?
I love the relationship I have with those girls even today. We're all very close, is that we were never competitive. Linnea had her niche, Brink had her niche, and I had mine. And even though we all worked together, a lot of the time, we all work separate a lot of the time. And even now, we give each other work or tell each other about a show or bring each other in. So we're all in this together.
Well, now it went from being a little town to like a massive, it's like the difference between being in like little, Orange County, being from Orange County, and then being from like, the whole city of New York, of Manhattan. It's just a whole nother world, the movie making industry, and it's so competitive, and it can be vicious, with the trolling and the internet and stuff like that. So let's get to Sorority Babes in the Slime Ball Bowl-orama 2. It is the sequel that has come up from the original movie that was made 30 years ago?
What was it? I think it was like 30 years ago.
30 or 40
Who's counting?
Were you in the original?
Yes.
You were in the original.
Yeah, Brink and I, and Linnea.
Okay. I didn't know that you were in the original
Sure.
because I was talking about that also earlier, that it was when the original was made and they came back all this time. And so Brink Stevens now becomes, from your co-star and your colleague and your sister and your compadre, she becomes your director.
Yes, isn't that marvelous?
And that's a completely different hat. And how does that work between the two of you?
Oh,
how
fantastic.
Was it?
Are you kidding? When she said she was going to do this, I was so excited for her. I just wanted to scream.
I know she was extremely excited, and
yes.
I was so happy for her.
And just, she was very nervous, and she was taking on a whole new thing, although she's got a lot of experience. This was her first actual directing debut, and I couldn't believe how excited I was for her and how she was so excited. So I was her number one fan, rooting for her the whole time.
And she called you and said, "We're going to do this film. We're going to do the remake."
She goes, "Do you want to do a cameo in it?" I said, "I would love to." So Billy Butler, who also works with Full Moon, this is a Full Moon picture, gave me a jingle and says, "Hey, let's do this." And I said, "Okay, I'll show up for that." So her and I did a little scene
together. And this was what kind of brought you back to the industry after this break, right?
No, I had been kind of dabbling here and there in some things. Like Fred Olen Ray was doing these Christmas movies for Lifetime and stuff like that, so he would have me in a couple of those. And if I knew you and I liked you, I'd come out and play. But now I'm...
That's how I feel now,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And people say that to me, "Well, what? Do something, do this, do that." And I'm like, "Hon, I've done 500 movies. I've done the whole thing, and I'm good, you know, and I'm ready to go any day. You know, I keep myself together, and if I see something like you, that looks like fun, I'll do it."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if it doesn't look like fun, I can say no to it.
Sure,
now.
yeah.
So we do have a clip from the movie, right? And we just want you to set it up for us. Is it the trailer? It's the trailer from the film, right?
Oh, it's the trailer? Yeah, you'll
so
see
it
me in
recently
that.
released, and tell us about the film. It recently released. It's directed by Brink Stevens, and
Michelle Bauer is in it.
Oh, and Michelle Bauer's
No,
in
I
it.
don't-
So
what do
let's
you
go
wanna
ahead and have
know?
a look. Let's take a look at it.
No man shall ever fulfill the needs of a sister. No man shall ever fill the void of a sister.
Welcome to Pi Epsilon Delta.
The house has a curse on it.
Here we go again.
One pledge night, your sister spider accidentally unleashed something evil.
These chicks are full-on free spirits. Whoa.
The three of you are gonna drive us somewhere.
You kicking in for gas?
It's just a little debauchery in the bowling alley.
The bowling alley.
You all know the sordid history of the Pi Epsilon Delta sorority. Your task is the very same one given to those sisters all those years ago. Steal the trophy, and with it, bring back glory to the Pi Epsilon Delta sorority. Yes!
First, we have some fun. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we bowl.
Whatever it was that was released caused a night of terror.
Found it.
What?
The hell is that?
Sultan Almighty, I'm free at last! Ha ha!
I want to be a famous rapper.
Your wish is granted! The man of your dreams is just behind that door.
I'm not playing your game.
Don't leave now, you'll miss all the fun. You are all so mine. So mine. Choose your words wisely.
I can smell you, pledge.
I know they did put up. I know they did put a picture of you on the poster.
Yes.
We have to get a
picture of you,
clip
Brink.
of you from the cameo that you did.
Oh, it's not nice.
That's great, though. I'll tell you,
know
number
what?
one, the first
you
thing
have
I
to see it.
Yes, yes.
the first thing I see when I looked at that film was, wow, the quality is so good. It's there, because I'm so used to this stuff that we've been.
Well, Full Moon is good.
Yes.
They're just good. I think they're classic in the realm that they deal in.
Charles Band is
Yes.
Full Moon. And Charles Band has also been a guest on my show. He did my Halloween show several years ago. And
he does things right.
Yeah, he's good. He's good.
volume.
Shout out to Charles Band. That's great. We're happy. Congratulations on the release of the film. And where are they picking that up at now? The Imp is back. Sorority Babes in the Slime Ball Bowl-orama 2.
There you are in Brink.
There you go.
Left.
There she is. And it's a hot one, guys, so pick it up. I would pick that film up. So we have another film that's in the works right now.
Yes, I've been asked to do some work in the movie Grandma.
Okay. And what is Grandma? Whose film is it?
That Brink's going to be in that film as well. And then
Debbie Dutch too, I believe.
Yes, Deborah Dutch, she's going to be in it too. We're super excited. It's a thriller. It's about this older woman. She had like a little bread and breakfast, and then the guests began to mysteriously disappear, and so there was talks of her being a cannibal, and all kinds of mystery stuff. So I believe she got arrested, and then many years later they're reopening it, and then mysterious deaths begin to happen and disappear, and they don't know if is she back or is it a ghost or maybe somebody imitating her. So it's kind of like a mystery, and it's supposed to be shot in the classic VOD, it's like a classic retro, just some of the classics and that. But no, we're super excited with that, and honored to have you. Like I said, it's every project you're in, you make better. So we're very blessed and honored.
Who's making the project? Is this Brink Stevens is directing it?
Oh no, she's one of the actresses, one of the stars of the film. She's making a cameo as well, and then
who's it directed by?
Just one moment, please.
Give him a second. He just had a break. He was at his grandma's. His grandma. How's your grandma doing?
She's doing much better, thank you. My grandmother in Arizona, she took a fall.
Oh.
And he had to leave.
That can be
back
very
to
dangerous
Arizona.
for an elderly person.
Take care of
I mean,
her.
that could be life-threatening.
Well, she's 90.
Yes.
And thankfully, though, she did not break anything.
Oh, good.
And
Now, you have an appearance coming up, I understand, or a possible appearance that you can tease the fans on the show with, guys, that'll be coming up in April?
Yes, Brink Stevens and I are attending Chiller. We've made our airfare and we're booked.
Awesome.
So we'll be there for that.
You guys will love it. It's Chiller Theater. It's in Parsippany, New Jersey. It happens, what are the dates?
April 28th, 29th, and 30th.
April 28th, 29th, and 30th, guys. You got to get your tickets early. It sells out fast, and believe it or not, this place is absolutely packed. There are usually lines to get into it. I don't know what it's like post-pandemic.
Oh, his last two shows, his first April and his first October, he said were blockbusting. They were the best shows he's ever put off. And I just want to say, in 23, Chiller is the place to be.
In 23, Chiller is the place to be, guys. And with these girls there, you're going to have a great time. So you and Brink are going to be there, but not Linnea Quigley.
No, unfortunately, she wasn't bookable.
Wow. I'm going to tell you something. I was just thinking when you were talking about the three of you, I was having like this vision where wouldn't it be awesome to do a film where the three of you got together in your now and then had like a flashback of like, what coming back from your youth and stuff like that. And now here you are today.
Well, we actually, Full Moon did trophy heads and had the three of us coming in as ourselves as Scream Queens. And we all get, of course, decapitated. It's lots of fun. But that was the closest we've come to that, is because we got to play ourselves and we all died in a way from this maniac putting us in situations of the movies that we had been in. So, yeah, that was close to it, but that's a good idea.
And what's it called?
Trophy Heads.
Trophy Heads.
That kind of reminds me of a movie that Vincent Price did called Theater of Blood, where he was an actor and he's going after all the critics, and each of them was going through death when the Shakespeare plays.
Yeah.
So what do you think was, if you were to say with your fans and with all the shows and stuff and people coming over, they always say this to me, this is the favorite movie you did that I love of all time. What was your favorite movie that you did?
Oh, gosh, I can't say there was a favorite one. They were all so much fun.
Well, you mentioned Cafe Flesh.
Yeah, that was a good script, and it was so bizarre. And
but this was adult. This was adult. This was not in your...
No. But I wouldn't say it was my favorite.
You don't think so?
Cafe Flesh?
Yeah. So what was?
I'd have to say... I'd just have to go with Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers.
Hollywood Chainsaw Hooker.
I thought it was going to be the Nightmare Sisters.
Oh, Tony, see if we can get a clip. I want to see her in Hollywood.
You know, the studio that was shot at, Tech Studio, I had the pleasure of shooting there once. Unfortunately, Lucky, who ran it, he passed away about a couple years ago, and they shut down the studio.
Oh.
But yeah, they shot a lot of famous things there, like Hill Street Blues was shot there, and a lot of, that was a beautiful studio it was shot. And, but yeah, it's. I was thinking you was going to say the Nightmare Sisters, but I did hear a lot about the Chainsaw.
Yeah, that was a good cult film, and Linnea and I have a dueling chainsaw scene, and she kills me and chainsaws me.
That's the one that you used the picture of her from, right?
Yes,
and Joe also mentioned we were having a nice little conversation on the way here and talking about some appearances that you made on the film, on the show, the very popular show of the day that was called Up All Night.
You would say Up All Night.
Remember that?
Yes.
And that's where you were shown on it quite a bit, right?
Yeah.
When it was Up All Night with Rhonda Shear. Remember?
Yeah. Actually, one of your movies was their highest rated film they ever had on that show.
Wow.
And how did you like working with Rhonda Shear? What was she like?
She was great. I think, didn't we do like Heavy Petting Detective or Assault of the Party Nerds? I think I worked with her in a Richard Gabby film.
I think so, yes.
Yes, and I think that's when I got introduced to her by Linnea Quigley, and then she just started having me, cameo here and spot like that, and it was just a blast. She's just a wonderful woman. What a businesswoman.
What happened to Rhonda Shear?
She's still around. She
was so gorgeous.
She still is.
She did the thing. It was on a bed. She was on a bed, right? And it was. The thing about it that's funny is it was okay. Nowadays, if you were to even try to post something like that on like Instagram or whatever, they would cut you.
Right.
I just got out of Facebook jail for some silly nonsense that went on the show, on the radio show. And I was like, you did that about the radio show? I go, oh my God. I go, you should see my other stuff that I've got going.
Did you ever meet Gilbert Godfrey? I know he used to do. Oh, nice.
Yes.
Gilbert Godfrey?
Yes, he was.
That's what my little dog's named after is Godfrey. I have a little black miniature schnauzer puppy. His name is Godfrey. It's so perfect.
They're great folks, and Linnea is very close with them, a lot of them, and I think she still is. I know Rhonda got a hold of us during COVID and wanted to do a Zoom show.
Oh, nice.
But
that would have been lovely.
It never materialized, unfortunately.
But she's still working and she's still doing stuff, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I was going to say is, and we're talking about the late 80s, 90s, even the 2000s. It was very popular and very followed. People were like, you had Trekkies. The Star Trek people and the, whatever. And then you had the horror buffs. And what would you call them? They're called something, because I'll have to ask David.
Well, it's hard. I mean, there's some people who love action films, some people love drama, some people love comedy.
But the horror film people were horror hounds. They were so prevalent, and they were always there. And I mean, that's why you see so many of them at Chiller. They mobbed the place. But it started to kind of dwindle. Well, you know what I've noticed? I had, like I had told you before, I'd taken a hiatus and I wasn't working. And then my daughter, out of the blue, says, "Oh, Mommy, did you see your Facebook page that somebody's running out of Canada?"
and it's a tribute to Michelle Bauer Facebook page. I said, no, honey, but I'm going to check it out. So I checked it out, and this thing is up and running, and it goes, and they post stuff, and it's interactive and all of this, and you have to be accepted. You have to enroll to be able to be on it. I didn't know about that. And these things go on, and that are just very well surprising that the fans keep things going. So here's my daughter at 30 telling me, well, your movies are coming back. I said, what? She goes, yeah, Mom, they're all the rage now. So it's like every so many years, like when they'll come out with a new movie every 10 years, they'll remake something, or they're doing this with these movies. They're just re-releasing them, and then they're getting huge new fan bases and kids of their 30s now, and then later on it'll be another 10 years, but they keep coming back and keep reviving. And I even said to Brink and Linnea, because they keep bringing us back and keep bringing us back.
They keep bringing us back, and my theory is because they really can't replace us.
Right.
I mean, you can take a younger actor talent and you can put a blonde or brown wig or whatever, and they seemingly try. Mm-hmm. They seemingly try, but the fans, they have that thing, whatever it is that you connected with them, and they don't care. That's why I was talking earlier about cultivating our fan bases. Through the fan bases that we've cultivated, it keeps us going for years to come. Mm-hmm. And if we only had to answer to our fans and not our critics and the internet trolls that are out there, our careers would go on forever, because we never fail them in their eyes. Mm-hmm. That is something that occurs in the new era of trolling and haters, and it's really changed the world in a very negative way. Yeah. It saddens me to see that. But I'm just glad to see you coming back. I want to congratulate you on coming back.
It's so good to see you.
It's so good to see you, girl. I'm just like, wow. And she looked at me in the studio. She sat down. She goes, wait a minute. Are you?
You're Amber Lynn
from the 80s.
From the 80s?
You? And I said, yeah.
I said, girl, we worked together
a lot.
Do you remember that?
I know, and that's
Amber
so
did tell me.
great.
She said she remembered working with you.
Yeah.
Yes, and I said that because I'm a Virgo and I remember everything. Usually, unless it was when I was drinking. Okay, so those there are some blackout days there, but those types of details I do, and it's just it's just it's so great to see you coming back and looking good and healthy and excited about being back in the industry and bringing something back to the industry that is like historical.
What's historical is the fans, and I still can't believe it, and that's why I'm here even now.
So where are they going to go right now to say to follow you? Where's your website? Where is it? Where can they go? So
it's a tribute to Michelle Bauer.
I know. I want to know where they can go follow you, not the person who puts the tribute. You don't have one?
I don't have anything.
Are you on Instagram
or
IG? Am I allowed to say that?
I don't. You just got to come see me wherever I'm showing up. That's all I got to say.
You could have showed up here, guys. We have a whole thing, right? We've got room. And
I got a little something for everybody. I'm always handing out free trading cards just as my thank you. And if you buy a movie, bring it to me, and I will sign it for free.
Well, I'm going to be buying your new one. And
my goodness, we're going to have a line around the block, guys. There you go. And just a couple.
How can I charge you for it?
Right.
Signature.
And just before we go, guys, I have a couple of quick mentions. Number one, and I wanted to separate it on purpose. We did have a loss of another friend over the holidays. Ravenscroft, lead singer, and my friend Ralph Busso. Passed away suddenly, and I want to wish my condolences to all of Ravenscroft, his wife Lisa, and his family, his son, and all of his friends and fans out there. It was a shocking loss and really sad, and I just want to wish you white light, rest in peace, and may God bless your family and friends and fans with healing. Whew. That was a tough one, and it really hurt. And on the other side of things, guys, and it's tough to do because it's black and white, congratulations to our friend Harley Wallen and Katie Wallen for their film Ash and Bone. It's apparently doing really, really very well out there. So we're really excited because we were the ones that helped promote it.
Thank you so much.
And they're doing awesome. And our friend Scotty Schwartz on the success of the holiday film of A Christmas Story. Christmas, right? He's apparently doing very, very well with that, and we just want to wish you guys luck and say much love to you. In the meantime, that's all the time we have for tonight's episode of Rock-N-Sexxy Uncensored. I want to thank our live in studio guest, Michelle Bauer.
Thank you so much. Honored to have you.
Right? And be careful when you're out there trying to follow her, guys, because she doesn't have those accounts. And if you are with a tribute, you know that it's a tribute, okay? And I want to thank our studio, Joe Williamson, for coming in, and all of our fans for tuning in, guys. And you may check out our blog, Rock-N-Sexxxy Uncensored.com, for advertising and sponsorship. See you guys next week.
Thank you for tuning in to Amber Lynn's Rock-N-Sexxxy Uncensored, available on Rock-N-Sexxxy Uncensored.com. Don't forget to hit us up on all your favorite social media links, and tune in next week for another amazing episode of Rock-N-Sexxxy Uncensored.